Another source of student funding is college loans. When we talk about loans, there are federal student loans, which are usually better than private loans, like from a bank, because you might be able to adjust it based on your income. You possibly could qualify for loan forgiveness, in which you don't have to pay off the remaining balance. And if you die, it goes away. Parent loans through the government are better for the same reasons. Unfortunately, your parents can't transfer a federal loan to you, and you cannot transfer one you take to your parents. Two separate types of loan programs. Your rate as a student is always cheaper than your parents', but they can likely borrow more, and that would be an example of a Parent Plus loan. When you look at borrowing money, whether it's a federal loan or any loan, try to borrow only what you have to, because you may be tempted to borrow more so that you have more comforts in life, but again, you're going to have to pay it. Interest will add up, especially if it's not subsidized by the government while you're in school, which means federal loans oftentimes do not accrue interest while you're in school. There are two categories of loans from the government. There's the direct subsidized loans for financial need. Schools decide how much unmet need and how much you can borrow as a result. So that's subsidized. You don't start paying back until 6 months after you are out of school. Government pays interest until then. The second category is direct unsubsidized loans. Both undergrad and grad students can use this. You do not have to show need. Be careful not to borrow again more than you need. On these loans, interest adds on to the loan from the beginning and you pay that. So obviously, you're looking for direct subsidized loans rather than unsubsidized. This one, interest is paid by the government until you graduate. This one is not. And when they say direct, they really are referring to it goes directly to the school. I cannot emphasize it enough. Borrowing large amounts can be problematic. So borrow what you need. Don't try to borrow more than you have to have. Here's a link on direct subsidized and direct unsubsidized loans, the differences between loan amount limits, who is eligible, how to apply, loan interest rates and fees, and so on. A few more comments regarding federal loans is you're probably going to plan on making loan payments for 10 or 20 years. Here's an interesting note to think about. If it takes 10 to 20 years to pay off a student loan and the monthly payments are considerable, then you have tied up money that you may have normally spent on the economy paying back these loans. Consequently, loan forgiveness oftentimes plays into account in terms of benefiting the economy overall, because if the federal government forgives your loan, then you have the opportunity to buy more things in the marketplace and boost the overall economy. So it's not always just a selfish thing to offer loan forgiveness. It oftentimes benefits the economy. At the end of your college career, you can have both subsidized, unsubsidized loans, as well as private loans. Grad students typically have less access to financial aid, but on the flip side of it, they oftentimes have employment opportunities, such as being a research assistant or teaching assistants, in which they are paid, hopefully, a living wage. Be careful about consolidating student loans. Typically, you'll take a student loan this year, you may take a student loan next year, maybe the year after that, and those are three different loans. Some students are inclined to consolidate them, and for good reason. It helps to bring the payment down to just one payment and maybe for a longer period of time, theoretically. However, if you consolidate it, you're going with a third-party entity. In some cases, consolidation may make you ineligible for certain income-based payments, which means you only pay a certain amount based on your income, or receiving loan forgiveness of some sort. Bottom line, if you don't have to consolidate student loans, you oftentimes have more options as far as loan forgiveness, income-based payment reductions. But if it's necessary to bring down your overall monthly payments, then of course you're going to have to do that. Loan servicers will handle your loan, and they are not always easy or ethical to work with, so be careful. Make complaints to the Department of Education if you get misleading information or if your loan payments are not processed correctly within a particular program, like income-based repayment. Here are some of the servicers for federal loans now. Parent Plus loans are loans that your parents take out on your behalf for your education. Not all parents can afford to do this or should do this. There is a parent credit check involved in the process. These loans are go directly to the school, unsubsidized. You pay interest from the beginning. So higher rates, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, interest is accrued from the date of the loan, not after you graduate. Grad and professional studies students can also apply for a PLUS loan. With these loans, higher amounts can be borrowed, but rates are higher again and interest starts right away. One protection is that if the parent dies, the loan goes away, which is not necessarily a great consolation. Private loans usually are through a bank or credit union. I would advise against them unless really necessary. You are out of other options. Federal loans have many more protections and can sometimes be forgiven. Common loan forgiveness programs include those for public service, teaching, working for the government, or nonprofits. So keep that in mind when you're looking at loans. Although there has been many detrimental changes regarding student loans, the Biden administration had been pushing the DOE to allow more forgiveness. As I mentioned earlier, it does typically help the economy because it frees up money that is being used for loan repayment to support the economy. What's going to happen is really up in the air for the future. Just keep your options open. Income-based payments, deferrals, and furloughs can help you make loan payments if you cannot get them forgiven. Sometimes furloughs is you take a break from paying your loans because of some probably hardship. The Supreme Court has pretty much put a hold on loan forgiveness programs. You should always keep an eye on the news and other government sources so that if there's a change to the policy, you have the opportunity to take advantage of it. I will point out that loan forgiveness usually does not apply to private student loans through a bank or credit union. Again, a good reason to get a federal loan rather than a private loan if possible.